The Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit is a symbol of technological supremacy and strategic power. Designed to operate undetected in the world's most hostile environments, it represents the pinnacle of stealth aviation. Since its introduction in the late 1990s, the B-2 has remained at the forefront of America's strategic arsenal, combining innovation, precision, and raw power. Its flying wing design isn't just futuristic, it's the secret to its stealth, making it nearly invisible to enemy radar. The smooth, curved surfaces and lack of vertical stabilizers help scatter radar waves, allowing the B-2 to slip past even the most advanced air defenses. This unique shape also reduces its heat signature, making it difficult for infrared sensors to track. The B-2 can fly over 6,000 nautical miles on a single tank, and even further with refueling, allowing it to strike anywhere on the planet from its home base. This global reach means it can respond rapidly to crises, projecting power across continents without ever needing to land on foreign soil. Operated by just 2 highly trained pilots, it can carry up to 40,000 pounds of ordnance, including both conventional and nuclear weapons. The advanced avionics and fly-by-wire controls allow the crew to manage complex missions with precision, even under the most challenging conditions. It's the only U.S. aircraft certified to carry the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, capable of destroying deeply buried targets. This makes the B-2 a critical tool for neutralizing hardened bunkers and underground facilities that would be unreachable by other means. With only about 20 in service, each costing over $1 billion, the B-2 is a rare and valuable asset. Its maintenance and security are handled with the utmost care, reflecting its importance to national defense and global stability. Deploying a B-2 is never routine. It signals the highest level of seriousness and serves as a powerful deterrent. When a B-2 takes to the skies, it sends a clear message to both allies and adversaries about the resolve and capabilities of the United States. Its mere presence can shift the strategic balance in any region. The B-2's ability to operate undetected and deliver decisive force makes it a game-changer in modern warfare. The B-2 is more than a bomber, it's a multi-role asset that redefines the limits of air power, embodying the future of strategic aviation and the enduring edge of American innovation. By late 2023, Yemen's crisis exploded as the Iran-backed Houthis launched missile and drone attacks on international shipping in the Red Sea. Their strikes, claimed as support for Hamas, indiscriminately threatened global trade. The U.S. and allies responded with Operation Prosperity Guardian, shooting down Houthi projectiles and striking launch sites. Despite these efforts, Houthi attacks escalated, forcing shipping companies to reroute and causing global economic ripples. Iran's support, funding, training, and advanced weaponry enabled the Houthis to challenge U.S. power and harass Israel by proxy. U.S. limited strikes failed to deter the Houthis, whose key assets were hidden in fortified mountainous bunkers. Cruise missiles and fighter bombers couldn't reach these hardened targets. A more powerful, precise tool was needed to change the calculus for both the Houthis and their Iranian sponsors. The stage was set for a dramatic escalation. In March 2025, the U.S. quietly deployed 6 B-2 Spirits, nearly a third of its entire stealth bomber fleet, to Diego Garcia, a remote and heavily fortified island base in the Indian Ocean. This was not just a routine rotation but a deliberate and calculated move executed with utmost secrecy and precision. The deployment was first revealed not by official channels, but by sharp-eyed analysts poring over commercial satellite imagery. The world watched as the unmistakable silhouettes of B-2S appeared on the tarmac, signaling a major and unexpected shift in U.S. military posture in the region. Diego Garcia's extreme isolation, thousands of miles from the nearest continent, made it the perfect launch pad for sensitive high-stakes operations. From here, B-2S could reach critical targets across the Middle East, Africa, and even parts of Asia, all without needing regional overflight permissions or risking early detection. The deployment sent a clear and unmistakable message. The U.S. was prepared to strike any target, no matter how well defended, deeply buried, or geographically remote. The B-2's unique ability to penetrate advanced air defenses made it a formidable threat to adversaries. For the Houthis in Yemen, it meant that nowhere was truly safe. Not command bunkers, not missile sites, not even the most remote hideouts. For Iran, the sudden arrival of B-2S at Diego Garcia was a stark and sobering reminder of American reach and resolve, a warning that any escalation could be met with overwhelming force. The secrecy surrounding the deployment only amplified its psychological impact. The B-2s arrived under the cover of darkness, their presence hidden from the world until it was too late for adversaries to react. The world learned of the B-2s arrival not from official statements, but from commercial satellites and open-source intelligence, adding an air of mystique and menace to the operation, and fueling speculation across global media. Military planners in Yemen and Iran were forced to reconsider their assumptions, scrambling to update their strategies and defenses in the face of this new, unpredictable threat. The sudden presence of B-2s within striking range changed the entire dynamic of the crisis, introducing a level of uncertainty and risk that could not be ignored. It was a strategic move designed not only to unsettle adversaries, but also to reassure allies and prepare for decisive action if diplomacy failed. In a single, silent maneuver, the chessboard had been reset, and the world was left to wonder what the next move would be. The arrival of the B-2 Spirit transformed the U.S. air campaign against the Houthis. Previous strikes by cruise missiles and fighter jets couldn't reach the rebels' most critical assets, hidden in fortified bunkers and mountains. The B-2's stealth allowed it to penetrate airspace undetected, striking targets previously thought untouchable. Houthi leaders could no longer hide. Their command centers and bunkers were now vulnerable. From March to May 2025, the U.S. launched around 200 airstrikes, many targeting deeply buried facilities. Reports described powerful explosions and the destruction of sites that had survived earlier attacks. The B-2s could loiter undetected, gather intelligence and deliver precision strikes with devastating accuracy. This new phase created constant fear and uncertainty among Houthi leadership. The shift from attrition to decapitation was made possible by the B-2's unique capabilities. The rules of the conflict had changed overnight. The B-2 deployment wasn't just about Yemen. It was a message to Iran. Reports surfaced that B-2s were armed with the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, the only bomb capable of destroying Iran's deeply buried nuclear sites. Even though the MOP wasn't used in Yemen, its presence was a clear signal. Iran's nuclear facilities like Natanz and Fordow are buried deep for protection. The US was demonstrating it could reach them if necessary. This show of force turned the B-2 into both a warfighting tool and a diplomatic lever. Tehran was forced to weigh the risks of continued proxy attacks and nuclear advances against the threat of devastating US strikes. The message: America's reach is long and nowhere is truly safe. By early May 2025, relentless B-2 strikes pressured the Houthis into a ceasefire. The Houthis agreed to halt attacks on U.S. shipping. In return, the U.S. paused its bombing campaign. Almost immediately, the B-2s were withdrawn from Diego Garcia and replaced by B-52 Stratofortress bombers. The B-52, a visible non-stealthy platform, signaled a shift from offensive to deterrent posture. The swap was a deliberate signal of de-escalation. The acute threat was over, but U.S. power remained. The B-52s could still launch long-range strikes, but their presence was less provocative. This move lowered military tensions while keeping a credible force on standby. Washington created space for diplomacy but kept its options open. The bomber swap was as much about messaging as military necessity. The region watched closely for what would come next. The timing of the B-2 deployment and withdrawal was closely tied to US-Iran nuclear negotiations in May 2025. As Iran's uranium enrichment neared weapons grade, the B-2s provided American negotiators with powerful leverage. The message was clear. The US preferred diplomacy, but had credible military options. The B-2s success against the Houthis was a live demonstration of US capabilities. When talks began, the memory of precision strikes loomed over the negotiating table. The withdrawal of B-2s and the arrival of B-52s signaled a willingness to de-escalate if Iran negotiated seriously. The bomber swap pocketed the gains from military pressure while pivoting to diplomacy. It was a calculated gesture to reduce tensions and encourage progress. Military might and diplomacy worked hand in hand. Replacing the B-2 with the B-52 was a masterstroke in strategic signaling. The B-2's high cost and escalatory nature made its continued presence unsustainable after the ceasefire. Keeping stealth bombers in the region risked provoking Iran and undermining diplomacy. The B-52, by contrast, is overt and less threatening, but still a powerful deterrent. Its presence reassured allies and warned adversaries, without raising the risk of immediate conflict. B-52s could patrol and hold targets at risk from a distance, enforcing freedom of navigation. The swap allowed the U.S. to transition from coercion to deterrence and reassurance. It preserved military options while reducing the risk of escalation. The logic was simple. Use overwhelming force to create a breakthrough, then maintain stability with a less provocative tool. The B-2 deployment to Diego Garcia stands as a compelling case study in the evolving landscape of modern crisis management. It highlights how advanced military technology can be rapidly positioned to influence events far beyond its immediate location, sending a powerful message to both allies and adversaries. The U.S. leveraged just a handful of these cutting-edge bombers to shift the calculations of a proxy force, deter Iran from further escalation, and gain crucial leverage at the diplomatic table. This approach demonstrates the outsized impact that a small, highly capable force can have in a tense regional environment. This model, using a short, sharp application of force to create breathing room for negotiations, may well become a template for managing future crises, especially in regions where traditional deterrence is being tested. Yet, the peace that follows such actions is often fragile. The Houthis continued their attacks in other areas, and Iran's reliance on proxy groups remains a persistent challenge for regional stability. At the heart of the matter, Iran's nuclear ambitions remain unresolved, casting a long shadow over any progress made through military deterrence or diplomatic engagement. The B-2s provided the U.S. with significant leverage, but they could not deliver a permanent solution to the underlying issues. The fundamental disputes and mistrust still linger. The threat of military action continues to hang over the region, shaping the calculations of all actors involved and keeping tensions high. The events of 2025 illustrate that the U.S. can counter proxy aggression by credibly threatening the sponsor's most vital interests, forcing adversaries to reconsider their strategies. By holding Iran's most prized assets at risk, the B-2s created a dangerous but highly effective deterrent, raising the stakes for any further escalation. Ultimately, the future of regional security will depend on whether this form of deterrence can open the door to lasting diplomacy, or if it simply sets the stage for another, potentially more dangerous round of escalation.